All right, legends, we're rolling. Very fair morning here. Birds are chirping. That temperature is not correct. It is not 30 Celsius. It's cooler than that. My head unit has to adjust. Had all kinds of glitches on this thing. You can see the duration is off, the time is
16
off.
or 17 Celsius. Nice and cool. We must have had a cool front. We're having an actually good spring this year. Sometimes it jumps from winter to summer. It gets really hot, but we've had an actual spring, so it's really nice. It's a nice change.
There's about 16 Celsius, so 63 Fahrenheit. The head unit was acting well. I'm not sure if it's the head unit or the software.
The high is supposed to be around 28 Celsius, I think. Right around 80.
So in the next clip, it sorts itself out after we get rolling with Team RR. I think when we get to 1488, the data, the time is correct. So I'm not sure what happened on these
like
clips.
to waste water. With all the rain we have, we're watering grass.
Yeah, we don't need to water anything.
Water
just a waste of water. You can see the water on the street.
The grass doesn't need any water.
The ground is already
saturated.
Yeah. When the ground's saturated and you water, it just runs onto the street. We've had enough rain, and our soil does not keep a lot of water. We have like a clay soil in the area. So it's a very nice morning. 16 Celsius thereabouts, 63 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm wearing a base layer. On this ride, Paul and I left Northampton. We rode into the woodlands to pick up Team RR. Once we got out there, we headed out on Research Forest, 1488, the most wind. Someone had a flat, but it was short. And then we went past Magnolia. We took Nichols Sawmill Road, looped around towards the community called Field Store. Once we got out near Field Store, I went on an excursion. So for like a couple of hours, Paul and I were disconnected. And I was on Kickapoo Road. He was on the other side of Kickapoo Road. He did not have his head unit on this ride because his Garmin 1000 conked out on him, so he's got a new one coming in. So he rode without any kind of cyclo computer, which is what I talk about all the time. Riding is riding. It's just nice to have that feedback, but you can do without it. And so, yeah, I'm sure he missed it a little bit, but it did not affect his riding. He rode really well. So once we got back into town, we're still feeling pretty fresh. So you can see we took the long way home just to add some extra Ks. And we hope you enjoyed the clips that we kept for you. All right, legends, we just got here at Crust Pizza. Had a good turnout today. The weather's fair. There's Paul ahead of me there. I'm rolling in. I really don't want to stop. It's about 7:31 or something like that. Our clock is off on these clips until we get on the highway. I'm not sure what was going on, as I explained earlier. So I do a U-turn here. Waiting for one or two people.
Andrea. Not even close.
Maria, Andrea.
Who's on your mind?
There's a new rider. Her name is Andrea. Mark said Maria.
Maria Conchita Alonso is on his mind.
So I told myself, Maria Conchita Alonso, one of my favorite Spanish actresses from back in the day. I love that name. She's done good work.
Now everyone's going to call her Maria.
She is better. Well, I shouldn't say that. They told her.
And the lady here, who is Andrea, she's built like Sana, who rides with WCC.
But
For some reason, she reminds me of Sana.
yeah, exactly.
That's what I told Paul. She's right there. Yes, that's Doug shot over there in the green Rafa kit. She's on the other side of him. I think Doug and I got similar helmet. I think he's wearing a puck. I'm not sure what it is, the airspin. That might be the octal. But I'm wearing my puck airspin on this ride.
Oh, that's cool. That's a different route. Yeah, that's a.
It starts out cool today, but then it warms up. Everything's off here. Our temperature is off. It's not 32 Celsius. It's 18, 19 Celsius. If that.
Car up.
Letting everybody know the car's up because, you know, it's a group around. Sometimes people don't notice.
It's pretty normal for them now.
Yeah, Dave rides by. It's a good turnout today. I said, that's pretty normal. That was a good turnout. I don't know where he's been. The guy in the white kit up there. They show up once in a while.
Different route today, so you guys get to see a new route. Field store is southwest.
Yeah, we've been there before, but it's been a while. It's relatively close to the area of, I think we go southwest. So area called Prairie View is relatively close. Outside of Downtown Magnolia, Texas. That's where we're headed. We do Mount Magnolia a lot on this ride, but we usually go north. This time we're going west to the actual city. Those riders you see going straight told us that we can't hang with you guys. We're gonna do our own thing. That was Doug Martin and Neville. You know, you would hear me tell Paul. Maybe you won't. The camera probably didn't pick it up, but I told Paul, I said, well, it'd be better just sit and hang in for as long as you can and get the workout.
Oh, okay.
Than to just tell yourself you can't hang on. You know, the ride doesn't stay hard the whole time. But a lot of riders have not been putting in the case, so.
This way they probably take 1488. But I just told the guys on the channel that it's a new route. So of course we're gonna check it out.
Is that Mike?
Yeah, that's Weingraff.
He's asking about Mike Weingraff, who's up there in the blue. We're talking about why they're going this way, and that's why Mike here, Mike Young, I think his name is, on the right. He's explaining that they're trying to go this way so they don't have to deal with the strong south wind. The wind is very strong from the south. In fact, we left about 6:40 something, and we got there like 7:29. We got there in record time, and we were not riding hard. So that explains it. We had the south wind behind us. You know, when Paul and I are warming up, we're just chatting and catching up, so we don't worry too much about the conditions. But the warm-up was quick, even though we weren't trying. This is a short light. I don't think I even unclipped. In a few kilometers, I'm going to do some freeze frames and just show things that you should not do when you're riding a bike, whether you're with the group or not, because it just was very, very unsafe, and it wasn't necessary. And I like to spend the time to show that it's not a reflection on the group per se, it's just certain individuals made decisions that were very risky. And you'll see it unfold when we get to Egypt Lane in maybe 2 kilometers. That's Doug shot on the right there. So when you're riding and the group does something like goes through an intersection, you still have to check. Now, it's one thing if the group is tight and you're going through and there are no gaps, then fine. But in this case, what I'm going to show you is that there were gaps because we're warming up. I'm not drafting that closely. The ride has not started yet. And usually that's when you have the most hiccups when things are not going fast yet. You know, riders get careless, you have little crashes and all that. So just be aware when you're in the group. When the speeds are slow, be extra careful, extra diligent. Because once you really start riding, everything kind of straightens itself out. We got the green here. This is Branch Crossing that we're going by. It's a three-way. Basically dead ends into research forest here. This is the quickest way out of town. We use this road often. So this is the way to get out of the woodlands. And whether you're going north or west, this is the way most riders use. And you see that wide shoulder? Mostly when I ride solo, I ride on that shoulder. It's nice and clean. But it's Saturday, there's a bunch of us. We're using it. That's Andrea on the behind Paul on the right. And while I was telling Paul, she's built like Sana. There's a lady from Finland that rides with the WCC guys. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm wearing a base layer under that classic flyweight jersey that I'm wearing because it's a cool morning, but I'm wearing a base layer for warmer temperatures. The one I'm actually wearing is made by Assos. So you can't wear the same winter base layers when the temperature starts getting very warm. We're going to be around 80 to 84 by the end of the ride. I just stand to kind of keep my legs loose. I had been off the bike since last Saturday's rainy ride, just busy. So I wasn't sure how my body was going to react. You know, you can never really tell. Paul and I share a joke. There's a lot of chatter going on in the back before we're laughing about it. There's a rider up front in the distance. Bob took off before the group had even left the parking lot. So
it's like we're wasting his time, man.
That was a lot of crap when we started going against the draw.
So I don't know, but anyway, this is where we're headed towards Egypt Lane.
Not receiving the data.
So what we're talking about here is that Bob takes off before the group leaves the parking lot. He's in the distance, and so he really doesn't get to even ride with the group. I was like, okay, so why were you even in the parking lot? And then in a few kilometers, we see him coming back before we're even done warming up. So I think he had different plans. That's fine. People do different things on the group rides. That's why you have to measure your effort and know who you're going with. And I will explain that. I will show that later. When we take the lead and another rider starts to half wheel me, you have to make decisions based on how far you're going and what kind of effort you want to put out. So this is where people just take risks. Okay, you see the group, we got a little bit of a gap because we're just warming up. This is Egypt Lane. And I'm thinking more of Paul and the other people behind me, not just me. I could have gone with them, but yeah, right now it's yellow. Watch. We're slowing down for it. It's red. It's red. Watch. One. You see the car? They got the green light on the left. It's red. He runs it. He runs it. He runs it. He runs it. Four of them. What if that car had moved? We just stood there and waited. And the ironic thing is, when Mark looked back and saw that we were at this light, he pulled into the parking lot with the group. So they went in that parking lot. The first opening, I don't know if you'll see them. They're in the distance. They turned right and went in the parking lot to wait for us. So why risk injury? We're not in a hurry when we're riding our bikes. This is what we want to be doing. So never do that. That was not necessary, and it was a clear violation. They put themselves in danger because of the decisions they made. There was a huge clear gap to the group. The group had gone through and the light changed. If we were all together, that would have been fine. But there were like 4 seconds before they went through. So the light change we go through, what was that, 30 seconds maybe? It's not worth it. There's no point in risking injury.
Gravel?
Yeah.
Remind me talk to you about it when it's not anything.
So they've already pulled out of the parking lot. We can see them in the distance, and so I wasn't worried about it. I mean, they're warming up. We can ride back and catch up to the group, but they waited for us. Mark looked back to see that we were stopped at the light, and so he pulled the group in that parking lot. They looped around, came out here where you see they're back on the road now. We know we're going straight, so we'll move over. They're right up there on the right. They're going to move over. We're going to take this lane. So those guys took a chance for no good reason, because here it is. They're right in front of those cars. Somebody's going to probably push that. Yeah, there's a pedestrian signal there. So if you're in that situation in any ride, let the group go. If they don't wait for you, ride by yourself, because most groups will, unless it's just an open ride where everybody's doing their own thing. But there's no reason for you to risk injury or your life. So if you're that worried about it when you're riding with a group, stay close to them to where you all go as a unit. I was not concerned about it because we can ride up to these guys, especially during the warm-up. We won't have to work that hard. We warm up around 32K, which is about 20 miles an hour. So we can ride up to them without much effort. But that's no reason to take those kind of chances like that. The group can go through like here as a unit, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But over there we had a gap. And the bigger the group, the more those things occur, because the very reason why those guys took chances, some people don't want to chase. They may not be able to catch back up to the group. They don't want to lose the group. That happens frequently. But we all need to realize that when we're riding as a group, we're on public roads. They're not closed for us. It's not a race where you got officers in the corner regulating traffic. So you really have to be aware, because we end up just annoying other road users and taking those kind of chances are not necessary. That's why I went ahead and pointed that out. It was not the group's fault. You have to make decisions when you're with the group, and hopefully you make decisions that keep you safe. So as we turn here, even though we're together as a unit, we're still looking. If in that turn another road user shows up and he's taking his right of way, we're not going to get in front of him because we're in a group. That's what I mean by making decisions.
Yep, same here, man. I did my yard, all kind of stuff, man. You did your yard on Wednesday?
Yeah, we're talking about how we spent our week and how we just got busy. Spent like 4 or 5 hours doing the yard. By doing my own yard, I don't have to pay anybody to do the yard. It's just, and plus I can get lost in kind of a blissful state when I'm doing the yard. Put on my headset to keep the noise from the mower from damaging my hearing, and then you just kind of get into doing the yard, and it takes you away. You forget everything. I'm telling him about a neighbor gave us a sago palm. The freeze did a lot of damage in the area to our palms. They're trying to come back. So we got one from our neighbor side. My wife and I installed it in the backyard, but he didn't notice it. So I'm telling everybody, I didn't notice it. Because when Paul gets there in the morning, his focus is get out of the car, get the bottles on the bike, get ready, let's go. So I'm telling him where it is. He ends up seeing it when we return.
Before you put it down on the ground.
No, we planted it inside the driveway on the right,
okay.
behind the garbage can.
Okay.
I put that there. The actual palm, the fully grown one, is outside.
Okay.
You got the immediate effect. We did it Thursday night.
So this day was very windy
Usually I ride on
from the
Thursday,
south, which is left. We headed west. And the wind is mostly from the south and from behind us from the east. That's what warms us up this time of year. We are having an actual spring. It didn't just heat up after winter, which sometimes we do down here. But today's wind was just more brutal on the way back than
It's
anything.
easy to do, man.
We ended up working really hard on this ride. We had not
That's what I
planned
did
to
last
go
weekend,
as
man.
far
It's
as we
like,
did, but once we got out there, we were feeling good, and we hadn't ridden all week. We just went ahead and extended the ride.
Yeah.
So as we turn here, I always look. Just because the group starts going doesn't mean traffic conditions may not change. You have to always look. Because you can warn other riders that are behind you when things change. And sometimes you do have to stop. So right after we go through this intersection, this 1488 has a lot of debris on the far right side. Of course, when the cars go by, they run it. You know, they basically the wind is wind swept to the right. So the further you are away from the white line, you stand a chance of getting a flat. Paul had gotten a flat last week in the rain. And so you would hear him tell me to come over because we start out and I'm on the right. And I'm kind of lightening the load, but he still tells me, oh, remember this is where I got the flat, come over, something like that. Right after he says that, somebody has a flat.
Careful with that side, man. The glass. That's where I got the flat before we got.
So last Saturday, he had a flat right there, so we went into Cimarron and we repaired it there. And the same thing will happen to a rider in the group. Cimarron is the next intersection coming up. It's an area where we visit from time to time. There are a lot of hills in there, and we do loop. We did a ride there about a year ago. We filmed it. Paul and I. The group does not go in there because it's there is no outlet. Basically, you go in there and do some loops. It's a neighborhood, so they don't go in there during a group ride. So somewhere around here, somebody flats, and it's from that right side. The area here is relatively clean, actually, but it's just sometimes there's little things. Right there, that guy's flatted. So instead of all of us staying on this busy highway, I suggest to Paul, let's just go to Cimarron, do a loop, and then by the time we're done, he'll be ready, or we can stand on that quiet road. So I'm telling him. I tell him, that's Mike Weingraber, I let him know somebody had a flat. So we're gonna turn in here. I don't like to sit on these busy shoulders. It was a quick fix. The guy was very proficient. So by the time we turned in, did a U-turn to come back, he repaired it, and we just resumed.
We can do some loops while we wait for them.
Yeah.
He said we can do some loops. I told him, you're not going to have enough time.
You want to do some help? You're not going to have enough time.
So yeah, you know, now the clock on here is fixed. It says 8 a.m. So there was some glitchy thing going on. The duration and everything's correct because we left at 7:36 thereabout. So it's been about 24 minutes. He probably took about 5 or 7 minutes to fix that flat. That was quick. they're done. We're just kind of rolling slowly. You can see me just standing because I'm on that side. There's a little more pieces of rocks and stuff, so I'm just keeping my weight off the rear tire. And Mike and I chat. And in a little while, they will let us know everybody's back. Let's go. I end up being at the front. I did not want to be at the front, especially since I've been off all week. Right there, they're letting us know everybody's here. Let's go. I think Paul turns the camera around briefly. So I tell him, let me get on Mike's wheel. And we're going to ride up to, that's Abby. We're going to ride up to those two. And we're going to pass those two, and then he and Abby decide to sit up there. We've got the wind behind us. So even though we're going to be riding around 40K, but it's an easy 40K because it's wind aided. The wind's from the left and mostly from behind. So they go around. I thought this guy was going to go up there. So I just go ahead and ride up there. My computer is flipping around because every time we come around here, there's interference to my speed sensor, which I use with the power pod. I kick up my cadence to get on his wheel. So we're in second position here. Paul is staying behind me because that's clean over there. There are a lot of little rocks on this road. The camera does not pick them up, and they're varying sizes. I mean, some of them you go over them and then they flick and they hit the rider next to you, because in a little bit somebody will ride up and get on my right, and one of those rocks I think hits his wheel or something, and another guy would tell Paul there was a rock that hit his bike or something. So your bike can get chipped in those situations from those little rocks. In fact, you can even flick them and hit a car that's passing. So all these little rocks, I don't know where they come from, but I think they're from vehicles that are carrying rocks to construction sites or whatever. And they actually pay money for those rocks, but they're all over the highways, just little pebbles. And you want to avoid them wherever possible because some of them can cause pinch flats. And some of them are sharp. If you hit them just right, they can cut your tire. They're just, little stones that people use when they're working on, different construction sites. So this is the guy that comes up to me, and when we take our pull, he ends up half wheeling me. I just go ahead and let him go, and I will show you guys. But I think he was doing that because he knew he wasn't going to do the whole route. He ends up, you will see, when we get outside of Magnolia, he ends up taking Old Hockley Road and coming back home. So you have to make sure you're dosing your effort based on what you're planning on doing. So we're riding right around 25, 26 miles an hour. The wind's coming from the left and from behind. You can see my bandana flicking around. Whenever there's a lot of wind, it does that. I'm sitting very close to Abby's wheel, even though it's not very difficult. We're not sure how the ride's going to go, and so early in the ride is not the time to waste too much energy. I'm about a foot off of Abby's wheel. Since he's a small guy, I can see over and around him easily. And since the wind's not coming from straight in front, it's not that big a deal. But when it's super windy, I'd much rather be following the guy on the right. Now look at Mike Weingrau on the right. You can see his fits off. You see how his body's rocking? The guy in the blue on the right in the front. You see that? That's how you know. He's reaching, his body's reaching at the bottom of the stroke. That robs you of power. When you can't reach down there, you're not using the big muscles in the back of your legs. So he could use a tune-up on that fit. I see that a lot with a lot of the guys we ride with. Everybody thinks that the saddle should be high because it just looks good. The saddle needs to be set up for your anatomy, and you know the size of your foot. Everything plays a factor. And all that movement, it wears you out. You see all the rocking. If you look at him, you can see that little sway. Yeah. Quite a few riders in this group could use a tune-up on their fit. So I stay close, I stay on the white line, and you can see because I'm close to him, I'm only doing about 130 to 150 watts. The road is relatively flat, slight slope 1% from time to time. We're riding right around between 38 to 40K. The road's going up a little bit, so our speed's dropping. Just a slight false flat. The temperature is correct now. It says 18 Celsius. About 68 degrees Fahrenheit, thereabout. This is the way a group should go. There's a whole benefit of riding in a group. Use the group to cover more ground, less effort. Every time you see me move to the left of that white line, you can guarantee I'm using my mirror. I keep my eye on the traffic. Even when I'm to the right of the white line, I glance periodically. But before I make a move to the left, I check to decide whether I'm going to go left or right. And that's based on the debris. I'm dodging those little rocks which you can't see. So I use my hips where possible to just kind of wiggle around them so I don't go over them. And then I lighten the load in certain spots. They're not that much. They're just strategically placed. It's like they bounce up of a truck and just splattered. So it's not hard to avoid them. I ended up flicking a rock and it hit this guy's wheel on the right. Somewhere along here. In a few kilometers, there's a truck driver sitting on the shoulder. He sees us coming and he's really polite. He ends up driving all the way into the grass. Then he folds his mirror so we don't have to use the main lanes. I thought that was cool. And the guy on my right thanked him for that gesture. I keep my cadence high on purpose because I've been off the entire week. I want to give my legs a chance to wake up. I don't want to wear them out before they really feel like riding. It does tax your aerobic system. There's a lot of debris. I check the mirror, the lane's clear, I move over. Paul has a mirror also, so if you notice, we kind of moved in tandem. The mirror has been invaluable. I love having it. The effort has gone up just a bit because that road, that stretch was a slight grade. Still says 1%. You have to focus on staying close to the wheel you're following to save your energy. Within a foot, you can get closer if you're comfortable with the person you're following. Abby's an excellent rider, so I don't mind following him closely, but a foot is fine. I mean, I don't need to get any closer. We're not going that hard right now. You can see just on that downhill, I'm back in zone 1. That's why we do the kind of training we do. The fitness gets to the point where it doesn't take long for you to recuperate. So you can hit the zones you need to hit, recuperate, go again. That's what makes interval training effective. If you don't have a good base, your interval training is kind of lackluster. That's the guy I was talking about. He folded his mirror, he ended up going in the grass and everything, so that guy waved at him. In a little bit I was mentioning him, that was kind of nice. That's what I said right there, he nods his head. And then he's the one that told me that the guy even folded his mirror, because I did not notice that. I thought that was just a class act. That's what we're talking about right here. That's what I love about our sport. We're in zone 2. We're doing almost 25 miles an hour. And we're having a conversation. Only in cycling. There's a hole on the left. I'm just going to point at it. It's just more effective. You saw me pointing at the reflectors. So if you're following somebody and they point, you point. Don't just take advantage of the warning, pass it down the line. You point and the person behind you should point as well. This is the reason I'm slightly off to one side, either in or out. There's some piece of lumber or something. There's always stuff on the roads. The road starts to go up here. It's a slight grade. I've already downshifted. Find the appropriate gear, the easiest possible gear that will enable you to do the speed without over-revving your engine. So I don't need to arch my back or do anything. I just pedal. I save the muscles in my back for later. They decide they're going to get off the front, and this is where the guy on the right ends up half wheeling me. So I just rode through at the same effort they're holding. I'm going to shift up because the road levels off a little bit. And then he just keeps going faster and faster. You notice we're doing about 38 to 40. Now we're doing 42. We're going to go faster and faster. And I know that Mount Magnolia is coming. There's a lot of debris. There's little pieces of tire from cars that are shredded. And you don't want to go over those. They got little wires in there. They can get in your tire. So we're avoiding them. So when I'm riding, I'm just scanning the road. That's all I'm doing. I'm scanning to find the cleanest spot, because I'm just not riding for me. I'm riding for the person behind me. So if they're following me, I don't want to lead them into debris. I want to let them feel that they can follow my wheel, because I'm going to ride on the cleanest spot. That's the way you should ride. You're not riding for just yourself. So right now he's half wheeling me. I'm keeping my effort the same. I'm not going any harder. I'm right at sweet spot. I'm gonna hold it there. I don't care what he does. The light is yellow, but we're already in it. And the group is tight. So I look behind. Everybody's here. He continues to go. So I'll drift a little to the left. I'm keeping my effort the same. If you look at my heart rate, it's not gonna go up much. right here. I'm not looking at heart rate when I'm riding. It's just I can do it by feel. That's Darren. Darren's riding up to his wheel. The group's together, so I'll go ahead and say, okay, I'm going to get behind them. I'm going to save my energy because Mount Magnolia is coming up. So as soon as I got behind Darren, if you look, my heart rate went down a little bit, like 2 beats or something. We're going to begin climbing here. And they're not riding together. You'll see they will be on either side of the lane, and I'm just gonna sit in the middle and ride my own pace because I don't know what they're doing. See, guys to the left, Darren's to the right, instead of one person being behind the other, because we're going fast enough to where you can get a bit of a draft. So I'm sitting in the slipstream of Darren right here. He's going faster and faster. I just keep my effort the same. Heart rate's going up because the road goes up, but I'm making sure I keep my gears reasonable. We're probably doing about 23 miles an hour up this climb, which is pretty fast for this climb. It's like 3.5%. I keep the effort the same. So it goes up because we're going because of the speed. You can see my heart rate is 170 now, 300 some watts. There's a lot of debris. There's a tire sitting on the lane here, so we take the main lane because the shoulder's blocked. Right there. Those are the pieces of tire all over the place. I guess some people get their tires retread and they just shred off, especially as the temperature get warmer. We see that a lot in the summer. Just kind of peels off in pieces all over the road. They're right there. I'm not going any harder than this effort because the climb's over. We're going downhill here. They're slowing down actually. And this is a situation where I know Paul didn't turn the camera around. It's a good sized group, so if you were at the back with that effort that we did, you would have to work so hard, you know, with the yo-yo effect. You don't want to be too far back. I look for traffic and then I move into the lane. We have 3 lanes here because one is a right turn. We're not turning, we're going straight. And this lane will end after this turn to the right. We're going straight. We're going to use a piece of the shoulder, but we're going to have to take the lane because they've got the traffic, what they call in Europe, they call traffic furniture. It's like the divider right there, all those things. So we take the lane. That's to keep these guys from coming over. You can see they've been coming over and tearing up that stuff anyway. And so we come back into the merged lane so we can take the shoulder. That's Doug. Doug probably worked his way up that climb. He said, I'm going to come to the front. There's a car that honked at us, a friendly horn, so I waved across the way. Probably another cyclist. Probably couldn't ride, so he sees us, he's giving us giving us the motivation. This is the guy who had the flat with the yellow Cannondale. There's a lot of debris, so we're kind of keeping my eye around. Like I always say, I don't ride blind. I want to see me lean over, I want to see what's coming. And you notice I'm staying close to the white line. There's no reason to be way over on the right where Darren is. See, he's going to have to come back anyway because this shoulder is not going to last. They don't waste pavement like that. That was temporary. And all the debris is to the right because as the cars drive by, it gets swept to the right. There's a gap. So basically there's a gap for these bridges. They don't line them up very well. Every now and then you get a nice surprise. So where we leave the bridge, I take the weight off. Saves your wheels. This guy dropped his light. Darren, his light was clipped to his jersey. It fell in the battery. You didn't see it on the camera didn't pick it up. So they're trying to slow down for it, and he said, forget it. It had 2 batteries, you know. All I saw was the shiny batteries on the shoulder.
Drop the light.
He dropped the rear light. He had it clipped to his jersey. I don't know if it was Darren or somebody else, but Darren has a light on his bike. It was clipped to his jersey. That's what I'm telling Paul. It was clipped to his jersey. It may have been the guy at the front. Yeah. I don't have any lights. I have batteries anymore. There's no point to it. You get the USB stuff and you're done. Less stuff to carry around. And they last longer with any battery. The power's down here. We're going hard. You see the watts? 300 plus watts. The road goes up. This is where this gentleman starts feeling the effects of his efforts earlier. He's going to the back so he can take a break. This road goes up, says 2%, probably 3. I think it says 2 right now. But all the energy he was expending back there is painful. You have to dose your effort. Right here, the wind is pounding us, and this road goes up. You literally can see it. And it goes for a while. We're still on 1488, westbound into the city of Magnolia, Texas. Who wants to ride on a bike path when you can visit cities? Not unless they're gonna build bike paths everywhere to get you everywhere. You gotta use the open road. Our paths around here got joggers and walkers and everything. They're not for this kind of riding. They're for cruising and chilling. So these guys took off our shoulder, these geniuses. They're building a freeway up there, the 249 called the Aggie Expressway. Texas A&M University Expressway. Aggie, that's their nickname. And it took off the shoulder, so we got to use the lane. So we use the shoulder when it's available and it's safe. If it's crappy and unsafe, we use the road. So we're using the road here because that's all we got. This is the 249 Aggie Expressway. It goes to College Station, Texas to the right, that's north. It goes to Tomball to the left, that's south. We're going west. Once we get through this intersection, the shoulder shows up and we go ahead and use it. Because this is a 2-lane highway. The drivers understand. You see that guy using a turn center lane to get by. We're moving. We're not on it too long anyway. So when you're riding and you come across sections of road like that, that's not where you want to have a conversation. Put your head down, get off of there. When you get on the shoulder here, you can chat. And this entire stretch, I'm no more than a foot off the wheel. I'm sitting on Doug's wheel right now. It's even windier and he's a small guy. You see me get the drops. Doug has lost quite a bit of weight since I met him a few years ago. And you see how that guy pulled off to the left? That was perfect. He pulled off on the windward side. So as he drifts back, we had protection as we came through. You pull off into the wind whenever possible. We're going up to a highway here. I believe I put the name on here in post-production. It's Magnolia Conroe Road or something like that. It's got an unusual name. We've been here quite a few times. I've never paid attention to the name that much. I decided to tag them in this video. We're waiting to go left, so I'm looking in my mirror. It's clear. I move over. Everybody else back there moving over. The light's green, but it's a short light, so I'm not expending any energy because it's going to change. It's not long. It favors the traffic going straight. This is FM 1488, so the light stays green longer for the main thoroughfare. You don't know where we're going, but we do. I mean, it's not much to this route. Well, Mark is the guy who put the ride together, so he's here with us. This is Magnolia Conroe Road. This will take us into downtown Magnolia, Texas. We end up going across 1774 briefly into some little street called Commerce Street, which takes us to Nichols Sawmill Road. And that's the main drag that we spend most of the ride on in this area. That's Andrea on the right there. That's Mike S5 on the left here. Since I know we have to go through downtown Magnolia anyway, you know, there's a bunch of stop signs, railroad tracks, whatever. It helps to know when to put the effort in. Regardless of what those guys are doing, I know they're going to have to back off. So I'm just riding tempo here. We're not on the open road here. We're in downtown Magnolia. There's not a whole lot you can do on these roads. It's a little twisty. It's going to get busier as we get into town. And so we're bypassing 1774. It's busy on this part of it, and its shoulders narrow. So with a group this size, we zigzag through downtown so we can hit Nichols Sawmill. We just opened. A tiny shoulder, but usable. The guy in front of me slowed down abruptly, so that's why you saw me move to the left. So somebody must have done something in front of him. So a lot of times you just move over. You don't need to be hitting brakes. I don't like braking in the peloton unless it's some emergency. Even if I do, I change my line so the person behind me is not directly behind me. But that's rare. I'm always watching everything. We're in downtown. We're gonna go across. This is 1774. This is the south piece of it. Going across the tracks. They recently paved this road in the last few years. Nice concrete. So we're in downtown Magnolia. Welcome to Magnolia, Texas. We're going to turn left at Commerce Street. That truck driver saw us. He let us go. That's cool. So we thanked him. He waited for us. A little sleepy little town. They got a high school here. Magnolia, I think it's West Magnolia High School or Magnolia West High School. Because they've got two high schools within about 10 kilometers of each other, I guess, something like that. Maybe less, probably 6 kilometers. There's one at Magnolia, at Mount Magnolia, and then this one down here. This is Nichols Sawmill Road, so we don't make it because there's a car coming on clip. Stand on the corner there. I'm on the edge of the corner because there's a car coming. Same thing I talked about. The group made it, but not everybody could make it. That guy didn't, see us, and we had a bit of a gap. So now we're going. Rick almost runs into me. I'm like, what is he doing? He's scared to use the road. Rick was in a hurry to get to the group because I think he's worried about being able to catch up to them. Well, I'm not that concerned about it. I mean, so it's like I look behind, there's a car there, so we're gonna stay on the shoulder. And he's very patient. He doesn't want to squeeze by. There's plenty of room, but still, some people are not comfortable passing cyclists. So we stay on the shoulder. See, he used the other lane. So we're not with the group right now. We're gonna chase back. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna dose my effort. You don't have to get them back right away, because that's just, you end up using so much energy when you do that. I like to just gradually get it going. These barrels are on the road because I think they're going to be doing some construction in the near future, or they're doing something already, probably on the side street. I'm letting everybody know to not run into these things because they're right on the shoulder. And there's a driver behind us while we do that with the barrels. He sees that, so he waited. There he is. He waited until we got by those barrels before he made his pass. I wish everybody would behave like that. We don't have to be at odds using the roads on both sides. I don't really have problems with drivers when I ride. I mean, really, I don't. Every now and then you get some yahoo, but it's rare. It's just, but for the most part, I don't have problems. I don't do unpredictable things, so that makes it easier. I think this is an elementary school on the right. So I've ridden back close to Daryl. I'm not on his wheel yet, but the effort is not very hard. You can see I'm right at sweet spot. I can do this all day. So I'm not really worried about it. I can go faster if I need to. But right now I'm on his wheel, so I just kind of soft pedal once I catch up. And we're going to ride up to the group. So this can happen in any ride. So if you're that worried about being able to chase back to the group, stay up front, stay close, be vigilant so you don't get gapped in traffic and then have to work. But if that does happen, you don't have to be the guy pulling. You can just follow the more experienced riders, sit in. Because that's your group, that's the group, that's the group B or C or whatever. And let them tow you back. That's the guy over there. He's going home. That's Old Hockley Road there. It goes back to 1488. So everybody's doing different things. That's why you have to dose your effort. You can't follow just anybody. That's Mike S5. I'm not sure why he's drifting back. The shoulder's very clean at this point. It's kind of narrow, but it's wide enough for a bike. I mean, I'm sitting next to the white line. There's plenty of room to the right. I'm keeping my eye around the rider in front of me. It's warming up a bit. We're right almost at 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 69 Fahrenheit, 19 Celsius. The wind never subsided. It blew the whole day, gusted the whole weekend pretty much. There's several reasons I'm keeping my cadence up. When you're riding with a group where the speed's changing, there's surges and accelerations, the road, the grade's changing between 1 to 3%, You don't want labor. So you can respond to changes in speed by always trying to use the smallest possible gear for the speed. Keep the cadence up. Plus, you just look smooth. You're not straining. You don't get home and your back aches you and all of that. Especially early in the ride. We've been riding probably about, let's see, 2 hours, almost 2 hours, Paul. About an hour with these guys. The duration is off by 30 minutes because the clock was not right in the other clips. 30 minutes for their ride. We started at 6:40 something thereabouts, so right about 2 hours. You saw me drinking from my bottle. My bottle is full of electrolytes. It's not just water. Our pockets full of food. We carrying breakfast and lunch. The nice shoulder here, nice and wide. You notice I kept my line the same, and then Darren came back to me. Yeah, I'm not sure why he was on the right, but I'm sure he had a reason. I only move when I need to. I don't need to move too much to see around people. You stay on the wheel that way. You gotta stay focused. You don't need to be looking at the wheel. As you ride more and more, you'll be able to know how close you are to a rider. Just by the position of their body, you can tell. You don't have to be looking at their wheel. You need to look down the road. You can glance from time to time if you need to, but really after a while, the corner of your eye, you can tell how close you are. And sometimes you can tell just by how good the draft feels or whether the wind's pounding you or not. The road goes up here, at least 3%, I think, just by looking at it. There's nothing coming. When I move over like that, I said earlier, I check my mirror before I decide to go left. Because if anything, I'll just hold my position. The road's not super busy. It's not congested. Get a car now and then. There's a lot of farm country out here. Where we're headed is the plains. That's Andrea. I guess she was pulling. She pulled off the front. You hear the wind. Always out there. I like the wind. It doesn't bother me that much. People too worried about their speed. It's gonna slow you down. So you just get out there and you hold your effort where you need it to be. And know that it's going to take you longer. And then you plan the route accordingly. This is the time of year for this kind of riding. I move left because I'm not pedaling, but I'm passing everybody. It always happens. So I'm just going to not hit my brakes. I am not changing my position in the line. I don't know why Daryl hanging back here, Darren. So he moves up, then I get behind him again. I don't want to brake, so I move over, keep the momentum going. Because braking requires a lot of energy to get back up to speed. Road goes up, you can see it. I'm thinking 3%. And it's a good drag. I need to come back and visit this road solo. It's beautiful. They just paved it. It's fresh. A lot of debris left over, it looks like, from the construction. And you see right here where the shoulder basically ends at this bridge. You take the lane, you ride where I'm riding, especially if you're solo, and then once you get across and you get a shoulder, you can use that. The other roads, you just can wait until you get across the bridge and you get back over. Somebody twisted a screw up there because all of a sudden I just revved up. I can just tell by watching the film. I'm not even looking at my watts, but just I used the same gear and just revved up. We're staying between 1% and 3% for most of this ride. This area is not as hilly as the north side, Magnolia. In fact, as you go further southwest, it's flat in plains. And you're mostly battling wind because it's exposed. You don't have as many trees. Rode like 99 point something miles. I was laughing when I saw the stats. I was like, we were not planning on doing that. We just rode. We were having too much fun. We decided we were going to extend it. But if you're going to ride in a group, you got to work on your skills in terms of don't be panicking. When the other people slow down, you soft pedal. You see what I'm doing. You move to the left and coast. Let the wind slow you down. Let friction slow you down. You don't really need to be braking. If you must use your brakes, do it softly, like little taps. They're not emergency stops. Somebody new is at the front. That's why all of a sudden the speed picks up. Resist the urge when you take the lead to force the pace. Keep the pace steady. Because if you don't gauge it right, you might just overexert yourself and pay for it later. We're still on Nichols Sawmill Road, and then it's going to turn to kind of a northeasterly direction. It continues, but it branches off. It's kind of like, veers off to the northeast. So right now we're headed to almost, let's see what it says. kind of southwest. So a little more south, and then we're gonna go right here. It continues to the right. The other road, I tagged them. I think it's Grand Prairie or something. Yeah, Grand Pines Drive goes left, and Nichols Sawmill goes to the right. So we're going back in the direction that we came from, in a way. It's like a big wide loop, same road. So now you saw me take a drink a little while there. I'm not thirsty. It's just habit. You're in the group. You're exerting yourself. Drink before you're thirsty. Eat before you're hungry. Preferably when the pace is not very hot as far as eating. Because by the time you're thirsty, you're kind of behind. And you need the moisture in your body so your muscles can keep firing. I stay to the right so I can see around these guys. We're going to be veering off to the right, Nichols Sawmill. We're going to get off of Nichols Sawmill Road. We're going to take another street. It's called Bain something. I forgot the name, but it's tagged. And then Mark is not sure, because I remember the last time we came here, there is a sign that says the road ends, and I think they put that there because drivers were probably running off the road here in the grass. That little barrier was not there before. We turned on Bainberry Road. We're on target, but he thinks we're off because he doesn't remember that barrier. So I think Doug says he remembers. I remember being on this road. It was like a couple of winters ago, I think.
Wants to check his map.
So Mark says he's going to check his map. And then Doug tells me, we got it. Doug's taking a picture.
that little road closure sign wasn't there before.
Doug said, we got it.
Hey, you know how to get the field store?
Okay, yeah, we got it. This is. Remember, we've been here before.
Yes, I
I think they
know.
were sneaking up on me that time.
So now Mark didn't check his map, but then he goes and takes the lead. But we gotta know the area.
He doesn't know where he's going.
That's what Paul said. Why is he taking the lead if he doesn't know where he's going? That's it. He's got it. This area can be tricky. Not this particular section we're in, but once you get out in the plains, if you make the wrong turn, you're gonna be riding for 5 miles before you get a chance to turn. There are big blocks of farms that are mapped out. When you look on the map, they're just squares, and so if you mess up, you're gonna be going for a while.
Watch out, cop!
So we're on Bainberry, and then this is pretty much where everything kind of wraps up. But I'm glad that we were able to get this much action in the group, because this gives you an idea of what really happens in a Paceline, whether you're racing or just in a Grand Fondo or whatever. It's not scary. It's just a matter of you getting comfortable with your bike. Because what scares people is that they can't handle their own bike comfortably. And so they don't want to be around other people because they themselves are concerned when they ride solo. So that's really where it comes from. So you don't need a big group when you're just starting. Just find one or two other riders and get comfortable riding around other cyclists. I don't know what Mike is doing up there. He's trying to look behind, and every time he looks behind, he does it like an S. He'll do it again, and then he will wave me up. I don't know who he's looking back for. I stay a little to the left. I am not overlapping him because I've already seen him looking behind, and I don't know what he's looking for. But I'm on the wheel. That's the whole point. You know, I am not wasting an ounce of energy. See that? Every time he looks behind, he does a little S. So he waved me up as I move up. I mean, the drops, 3 or 4 strokes, I'm on Doug's wheel. No messing around. That's how you save your energy. And this is really nice when you have a power meter that gives you, you can see the watts drop when you're in the draft versus when you go to the front. Because I made a move off camera and my watts hit about 400, and I've been riding around 180, 200. Once I got to the front, it doubled. So focus on getting your bike fit done. Get your Ks and get comfortable. Learn how to handle your bike, and then you can ride with anyone. Because there's a lot of fun riding with other riders. You can cover more ground faster with less effort. We only rode with these guys probably, let's see, it's 52 minutes into it now, maybe an hour. Probably rode them for maybe an hour 15 or something like that. And then the rest of the ride, we just went on our own little excursion. You don't have to be directly behind the wheel to benefit from the draft. If you see there's just a slight gliding going on, little to the right, he'll probably move to the right and I'll be on his left, but I'm not moving that much. You can see that right there. And when we go faster than this, I get even closer, a couple of inches or something, you know. So over time you get more comfortable and you can get really close, but you got to have an out. You have to know that stuff happens. You can go left or right. You don't depend on braking. Steer out of it, ride out of it. Basically, if something happens, which is rare, especially if you look around like I've been talking about. You know what's coming up the road. There are no surprises, and you can relax. You can see I'm on the hoods and I'm relaxed. So learn to hold the wheel, and your cycling will go to the next level. So I hope you got a chance to get some Ks in this weekend. But this is part of what we did on Saturday before we really went out and started fighting the south wind. There's a town called Plantersville that Paul and I want to plan and visit. So on one of these rides, we'll film with these guys and then break off and go visit Plantersville and film there. See what's there. I don't remember going there. It's probably very small. I know it's smaller than Magnolia. But they have beautiful roads as you go further out. So remember, keep those doctors far.